welcome to this video. I'm working for Inspired by Memories, and it's a challenge that has been set for the whole of March, and the final week I've set the challenge for a double page layout, and there's several other stipulations which I'll come to later. So this is the sketch that I need to interpret alongside Kathy and Shannon, who have set their own challenge, which is called Challenge Accepted. Now my 1, 2, 3 challenge for the whole of March is for this wonderful prize of Vicky Bouton Mixed Media. It's so wonderful. The paper it's like cardboard, it's so thick, it's actually like canvas. So one lucky person that has entered all 4 weeks of the 1, 2, 3 challenge on Inspired by Memories will be entered in the draw, and this will be sent to them the day after. So good luck to everybody. So let's get down to the actual challenge itself. So I haven't had time to look at this in any detail, but I don't really like working from a sketch, so I'm probably going to end up with something that doesn't resemble this at all, but we'll go for it. So this weekend was beautiful weather in UK, or in my part of the UK, so I had a Easter egg hunt in my garden, and that involved many members of my family. So I'm going to use photographs. I've got hundreds from that weekend, but I'm going to use these photographs. Now this says 4, but I am actually going to use more than that because I want to get them in. So I'm going to use these 2 photos of the actual hunt itself, where they're searching for the eggs. This picture of me holding my second grandson, Aidan, looking at them all hunting. Then I've got Leo, my first grandson, who has found some eggs in the sandpit that Grandad made him. And then my daughter and my son, who don't get together very often, so I'm going to treasure this picture for a very, very long time. Okay, so that's the plan, and now I have to decide what papers, etc, etc I'm going to use. So I'm going to put this up there so I can see it, but I don't really want to refer to it too much. 2 ways I can do this: either look at each page separately or do as a whole, and I think I'm going to do as a whole. So I'm going to go for a springtime theme, hence the... So I've got bits and pieces from this Peebles collection, because I used so many pages of it, I haven't actually got much left. Now the problem is it actually goes right across the top, so I'm not sure whether I'm actually going to have enough to do what I want to do. So the only one that I can use that's got enough going that way would be this one. So I think I'm going to fussy cut along, and then I'm going to do the same on the next piece, and then I'm going to add some stitching, because one of the stipulations is 2 techniques need to be used of your own choice. So I'm going to stitch somewhere on that. Obviously I'm not going to do that on video because it will take so long, so I'll be back with you as soon as I've managed to cut that out. What I'm going to do is, if I can find my fussy cutting scissors, Tim Holtz scissors are amazing. So I think I'll be led by the white. So let's fussy cut the white. What I'm going to do first is just cut down. I find it a lot easier to fussy cut if I've only got a small piece to hold. So off we go. Now this being white, the final bit, means that it's going to merge in with the white page itself. So I'm not going to worry too much about that fussy cutting, and I'll be back with you when I've done both sides. Okay, so back again. There's the two sides roughly cut. Obviously they've got to be trimmed at the top, but I'm going to leave that a while. So this is called Spring Fling from Peebles. As I say, I've had it for a while, so I am going to try and overlap them so it's continuous, and then maybe cut a bit off the edge to make them the same size. But I'll say that's all the fiddly bits that I will do at the end. At the moment, all I want to do is get the actual page set out. So from there, I'm going to, I've actually printed this little bee. Well, it's not that little, to be honest, and I'm going to fussy cut her because she is the star of my show. So I'm going to just roughly do it, and then I'm going to do it with a craft knife. I've actually printed this on photo paper because I ran out of matte photo paper. It's actually done in gloss, which I'm not happy with, but there we go. So once I've done that rough, I will cut it out with my craft knife after. But basically she's going there, and then with a pencil to help me out, I'm going to do a flight pattern, and that flight pattern is going to replicate sort of the, I don't think it was stitching, I think it was like twine which held all the tags on. Well, I don't want to go that route, I want to go this route. So there she is, and I will grab a pencil in a second. Trying to find anything in my craft room, especially after an Easter weekend with the children here. Bit of a nightmare, because my craft room is somewhere where they love to be, and I hate them being in here. Okay, so from here I'm looking at overlapping like this, and then maybe coming down. Yeah, so here goes. From here, and then up onto here. Got to make sure these are straight though. So I am now going to have to try my very best to machine stitch these, and I've already realised that I need to stick this down first because they are falling out of line, which I don't want. So I'm going to overlap them as I said earlier, and we'll go from there. So I'll be back when I've done the stitching. Hi there. So there we have the line of the bee flying very roughly with stitching. I'm absolutely rubbish at stitching, especially when it comes to doing circles like this. However, most of that is going to be covered up, so I'm not too concerned. I'm going to leave the stitch hanging because I just like that rough look. Okay, so roughly that's how it's going to stand. I've got to alter this bit here because it's come off as uneven, so it's only tiny, but I'm still going to do that. Right, so the next thing is on the original sketch, which I can't find because I put it down, there was, I believe, bunting. Here we go. Well, not bunting as such, but I'm going to use these lines as my, what they had as thread. So I'm now going to make as many of these tags, whatever you call them, as possible, keeping the bee in mind. So I've been hunting through my scraps and I'm trying to find relevant papers that I may find, and there you go, there's a few. So now all I need to do is make a tag, which is really easy if you've got a cutting machine, but as a lot of people, most people don't have them, I'm going to do it by hand. Now the easiest way is to cut round one that you've already got, and as I want all different sizes and all different designs, I'm going to start, I think, I really like this, and I cannot remember who it's by, but first of all I'm going to draw where my hole should be, and obviously later I'm going to use a hole punch. Oh, typical, my pencil's finished. My pencil broke. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to put that right up at the edge, draw where the circle goes. You could go live and just go straight round with your scissors, but just for convenience I'm going to quickly show you. So keeping the roundness of the edges. I've got so many scraps, I've been trying to get them down for some time now, so most of my layouts are using scraps or collections that I haven't broken into yet. There we go, so there's one. Obviously I don't want any pencil lines showing, and I will be attaching bits and pieces to each of the designs. So all I need to do for that one is cut. So I've gathered as much as I can from my stash, from as many different collections as possible that suit the design. Again, using scraps, fussy cutting all the way. So I'm trying at the moment to create as many clusters as I can, knowing full well that I won't be using them all. But you can never have too many clusters. I can use them on other layouts if I don't use them. So I'm using a very pale pink dewdrop ink to literally distress the edges, just so it stands out against the white paper, just a little bit. I didn't want to use anything darker than that. So I've added Jen Hadfield flowers that I fussy cut, and they're so pretty. I have a little bit of trouble with some buttons that I've added. Well, it was actually the glue that didn't want to work on this particular day, but I'm happy with the way things are going, and once I've made several I will move on to the next stage. So I'm incorporating Paige Evans as well, her Pick Me Up and Whimsical collections, because they just go with the theme, and well, I love Paige Evans anyway. So another tag made. I need to make some bunting as well, but the Peebles collection has lots of bits and pieces that I am planning to use to make clusters as well. Final bit of fussy cutting on this one. I'm unsure whether to use pink, yellow or both. So here we are. Here's the page with the stitching, bad stitching I might add, and these are the photos I'm going to use. So again, Jen Hadfield, she's got a gorgeous gold mist. Just requires a little bit of shaking to create a lovely spotted gold, and they are raised as well and very glittery, so I really like to use this. Must get myself some more. So once I've done that, I need to dry it, because obviously this was done live. So I'm just trying to dry off those spots before I move on to my next stage. I got these, they're sort of gold, maybe a bronzy colour, but they're backed on the blue, which makes them stand out so much. And I got these from Ella Vanilla Scrapbooking Supplies by American Crafts, and they're just perfect for this particular page being gold. So our Easter egg hunt is going to be my title, although I have tried to stay away from Easter eggs, etc, etc, because this page is more about the fun we had as a family on the Easter weekend. I took over 100 photographs of that weekend, so be prepared. There would be lots of layouts coming through. So I'm just juggling them about a bit. I didn't want them straight. I wanted them a little bit jiggly, just to create that wavy look to match the paper behind it. And once I'm happy with that, we now need to sort out all the photographs. So I don't want to back the photographs because I don't want them to be harsh and stable in one place. I don't think I'm even going to keep them in that order, but at the moment I'm backing them in different vellums, one being gold and one being a pale peachy pink. And I'm really pleased with the overall effect that they give. It's subtle, but it definitely helps to make the photos stand out. I also wanted to neutralise the blue a little bit from the pictures, because for some reason every photograph seems to be blue. So this process, I believe, has eliminated that problem. Obviously, I've incorporated Paige Evans, which has got a lot of blue in it anyway, but just to balance it up a bit. So I'm using my Fiskars to cut these to the right size, and then off we go back to making embellishments. I accumulated quite a few by the end of this process, of which I'm only showing you a tiny bit. So now I'm going to start putting the page together. I'm attaching the bottom strips, which I have fussy cut, and I'm using the same as the top, just up a different way. So once again, I'm playing around with photographs, still unsure where I'm going to put them, how many I'm going to use, and I'm sure you all do the same. It's not often that I do a double page layout, so I found it quite daunting, as in the size, and being able to work on both sides at the same time, but I didn't want them to be the same. So I'm going to start adding the embellishments that I've made, and as I say, some I use, some I don't. And I'm still trying to add bits as I go. Such a scrappy scrapper. I get there in the end. So adding more and more, and here comes my box of tricks. Literally, I've gone into all my embellishments and just pulled out anything at all that may go, as well as the ones I've already cut. So these are little banners that I've cut out of the pea balls, and I'm just trying to get some kind of layering on them, as well as continuing to make others. There again is the blue from Paige Evans that I explained to you about. So I'm unsure if you've noticed, but I have actually put a faux line around the actual machine stitching, so I wasn't happy with the amount that it stood out. I needed it to be quite prominent because it is going to be covered up a lot. So here I'm adding ribbons. It's like a chiffon ribbon. I've got several colours in this, but I thought, obviously, with it being Easter, I would put a bit of yellow in, and it does look, I'm really pleased with that. And here we go. Let's build this page. I've just clipped the pages together to keep it in line. And now I'm trying to build as I go. And again, out comes the chiffon ribbon. So pretty. This time in the green. I'm fiddling about with some banners at the moment. I'm trying to get as many different shaped banners as I can. But against those tags, the banners look so tiny. So I'm having to resize them, and I'm sure scrapbookers do the same as I, as in we have a picture in our head of how the page may look, but it develops as you go. So basically what I've done here is I had the idea of the bee, and the rest of it I had no idea what I was going to do. But I'm happy with the way these embellishments are going. As I say, I made far more than I needed, and some of them were actually too large. You'll see at the end of the video how different the page actually looks at the end than it does now, and that is purely because I changed my mind a lot. I turned that jam jar up the other way and found that it had the same peachy pink colour. So I decided straight away, yep, I'm going to use that side instead. And I started adding some a whimsical frame, bunny, and then some flowers as well that I printed on the Silhouette print and cut facility. And I think there's quite a few print and cut things on the end product. Now I'm going to use some of the People stickers, but I'm going to mount them first, giving them like a, how can I explain it, depth, so that there's a shadow underneath, so I can raise them up on pads. This page is really coming together now, and I'm over the moon with the colours. My box of tricks. Now this is my small text box, and every time I get anything that is small that you would use on a layout, it goes in this box, and oh, believe me, it's used every day. And I do prefer to keep that separate because I don't use stickers very often. I normally cut titles using the Silhouette, but so I don't want to store these with my stickers. And scrap mats, chipboards, I love. So I'm just going to pop a few little scrap mats, chipboards on top. I think I used 2. And I'm even contemplating using that from Cheeky Studios. But I do decide against it in the end. Simply because with the photographs there wasn't room. So that's as far as I go with the video, to be honest. And the rest of it you will see in the attached photos. Thanks so much for joining me. And please do catch up with me on the Facebook Inspired by Memories group and join in our 1, 2, 3 challenge. It ends very soon.